Mr. Renaud.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Ranking Member and the members of these two committees for inviting me to testimony. This is an important issue facing Congress, and I hope my comments prove useful. These views are solely my own and do not reflect the views of my firm or any of its clients. In short, there is simply no connection between the political information sought by the President's draft executive order and the contracting process, no corruption to be remedied, and no need to burden on core First Amendment rights of speech and association. Among other things, under current campaign finance law, employees and PACs of government contractors are subject to the same contribution limits as other contributors, and their contributions are fully reported. As just mentioned, businesses currently are not required to collect or report their employees' contributions and are advised against it. All contributions are voluntary. The President's draft EO is styled as a pay-to-play law, laws that stop the giving of contributions for the receipt of contracts. But terminology alone is insufficient. I have extensive experience working on compliance issues related to Federal, State, and local pay-to-play laws. Many of these laws suffer from the same infirmities as this draft EO. Here, there is no evidence of corruption from campaign activity in the Federal contracting process. Maybe in New Jersey and Connecticut in the past, but not here. The nexus, then, between the contracting process and the contributions is created solely by this draft EO and its supporters, because Federal acquisition officers, as we've just heard today, are insulated from the campaign system as they ought to be. The connection put forward pollutes the marketplace of ideas with this idea of corruption. Because there is no nexus, the draft EO is unlike pay-to-play regimes that target elected officials and their political cronies who are thoroughly and unavoidably involved in the procurement process. The draft EO also reaches beyond contributions to independent expenditures, which no other pay-to-play regime does directly, save the rules of the Nebraska Lottery Commission. The Supreme Court has reminded us frequently that independent expenditures do not cause corruption or the appearance of corruption. The Securities and Exchange Commission, in its recent rigorous pay-to-play rulemaking, fully disclaimed affecting independent expenditures. The draft EO, unlike any other pay-to-play system, also targets grassroots lobbying in the form of electioneering communications. Because of its inclusion in the contracting process, that's the key, inclusion in the process, the disclosures under the draft EO will have a negative effect on corporate and personal political activities of those covered. Because of uncertainty about how the information will be used, the contractors will rationally move to eliminate any activity that might make them less competitive. The disclosures also will politicize the employer-employee relationship with officers, especially for small businesses who may not be able to afford parallel compliance systems that many large corporations use, forcing subordinate officers to report political activity to their superiors and fear for the consequences. The vagueness of the draft EO exacerbates this chilling effect. The FAR Council is tasked with providing guidance, but campaign finance is not its core competency, and it will be undertaking this task on an accelerated basis during the presidential election cycle. With vagueness, an ever larger group of persons will curtail an even wider set of activities. In closing, I leave you with a sample of the burdens imposed. Contractors must report contributions made to third parties with the intention or reasonable expectation that the parties will use the contributions for independent expenditures or electioneering communications. This is a precursor to an unending number of disputes over contribution certifications. With hindsight, competing and losing bidders will be able to protest awards based upon donations, perhaps even trade association dues, paid by the bidder but not reported, given the attention or reasonable expectation of the bidder at the time. and some think that there will be no chilling here. Thank you. I am happy to answer any questions you might have.